Welcome to Post-Burnout.com interviews. My name is Aaron Kavanagh and I'm the website's founder and editor-in-chief. Post-Burnout.com is a culture website dedicated to venerating burnt-out artists the world over. Our interviews are mainly recorded to be transcribed, but every now and again we release the audio in a series we call Post-Burnout.com interviews. If you enjoy what we do, be sure to subscribe. In this edition of Post-Burnout.com interviews, Ben Cronin, the guitarist for the Dublin indie pop band Trinkets, discusses the band's upcoming double-sided single Playing It Shy and Juniper. He also discusses the band's formation, their unique sound, their approach to songwriting, performing live, their career highlights so far, their upcoming plans, and more. I also want to note that this interview was recorded a week before the band actually announced the release of their upcoming single. So at the time, I just knew that there was something coming on October 13th. Yeah, so the first thing I just wanted to ask is actually how Trinkets kind of got together.
Yeah, 100%. So we actually, myself, Rosie, our singer, Connor, our drummer, and Mike, our guitarist, we all met in college. We did the rock school in BCFE. So naturally you get playing with other musicians through that, and I sort of got to know them through that. And they had a band called Leaning Against Walls, and they were in it with two other members. And one of the members left, and they asked me to play guitar for them, and we played a few gigs as that, and then another member left, and we kind of ended up with 4 out of 5 of the members we have now.
Yeah.
And we were kind of getting going, and then pandemic hit, that whole thing. And then just coming out of it, we were like, right, let's give this a proper go, kind of rebranded as Trinkets. And we got Steve, our bass player, on board, and we've kind of been going from there.
What year was that? Was that like 2019-ish or?
Yeah, pretty much. So just really, I think we did about one or two proper gigs before the pandemic hit. Um, and then once we started coming out with things and gigs were back on, we were like, right, let's give this a proper go.
Yeah, and would that been like around your final year of college, or was that kind of like midway through your education?
Pretty much, I was kind of see, we'd graduated Ballyfermot quite
Okay.
early, and myself, the three of us actually, myself, Rosie, and Connor went into BIM, and we did 3 years there. And uh, I did my final year just as the pandemic was kind of ending. Rosie was the year behind, and Connor actually went back to Ballyfermot. So yeah, kind of just that transition period of coming out of college and going into the real world of working, and yeah, pretty much.
What was the kind of musical overlap you guys shared then when it kind of came to starting a band?
Yeah, funny enough, because there was a lot of different backgrounds there. Rosie's huge into like her kind of a lot of sort of indie and folk and singer-songwriter kind of stuff. Connor, our drummer, comes from a background of playing in sort of like pop punk bands, like Blink-182 type stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I was in like a heavy metal band as a teenager, so there was a lot of different stuff. But there was this kind of, I suppose, mutual overlap and love for just pretty dreamy kind of indie pop, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shared influences there as well, I suppose. So, but it is a big melding of different backgrounds in music.
And then when did you guys start recording then? Like when did you guys kind of like solidify the sound you were going for and kind of go, okay, like let's actually kind of put this to record?
It was pretty much when we were starting to gig again properly as Trinkets, and we had some songs from beforehand, we had some newer ones, and it was only when we started playing live and we started getting a bit more of an understanding of the sound we wanted to go for and what songs were working, what weren't, what needed to change. So it was the start of last year, start of start of this year, pardon me, we recorded our first single and put that out, and we felt that that was kind of the best sort of embodiment of the sound we wanted to go for, just sort of like all these clean guitars and synthy bits and chorus and fun bass lines. So we kind of found all the elements we liked, and we thought that that song Blue, our first single, was kind of a good representation of that. So that kind of set us really on the course of what we wanted the band to sort of sound like.
Yeah, and then also your second single then was Lucy. I mean, like, what kind of like I guess what kind of like inspired those two to kind of be the singles you guys wanted to push as like, as an introduction?
Yeah, well, Blue certainly because we felt it had all the elements of what a Trinket song should be in our heads of what we wanted the band to sound like. Lucy was a very organic one in terms of the decision to make it a single because it started off like a lot of the songs do, where I will have a sort of instrumental demo with a kind of concept and I'll bring it to Rosie and she'll sort of take that and run with it and construct the sort of lyrics and the melodies, and then we bring it to the band and we sort of do all the finishing touches and add what bits need to do. So we just got really excited when we started working on that one and we brought it into our live set list. And the sort of reaction we were getting from people who were coming to our gigs for that particular song was like really positive. Like there was a lot of people who were specifically like that song there with the bits and all that. It's like, what's that? And you're like, oh yeah, people seem to be latching onto that. So that kind of was like, okay, this is probably a good show for the next single.
Yeah, and actually, I think like live is sort of like so I still think it's like kind of the best way to kind of be introduced to an artist in a way is to see them live compared to like just kind of even stumbling upon them on like a streaming service or something. And I think like I first became aware of you guys when I saw Gemma and Annie Valentine at the Workman Cellar, and you guys were like playing it, and I was like, oh my god, this is like great. Yeah, I was wondering like do you see like the kind of from playing live, because you guys have been playing like sports lots and festivals and headline shows across the country, do you see like the any kind of like immediate growth after that, or is it kind of more gradual?
Yeah, 100%, as opposed to, because obviously social media is a huge part of growth and promotion and we do our best with that and we're still learning the whole time about that side of things. But the most noticeable ones is after you play like a gig or a festival and you actually do see the numbers of the streams going up and like new followers on the social media and stuff like that. So, and I've heard it said like a lot of people have given us the advice where it's like just play shows, and that's going to help with growth so much. So yeah, definitely from playing gigs, you see a lot of people taking more interest, and I kind of get it too. When if I find a band online, I listen to a song and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I might listen to them again, but when I like kind of wander into a gig and maybe there's a really good support band and hearing them live, it just kind of like hooks you a bit more, I think.
Yeah, it feels more like personal or something. It feels like kind of more like you're a part of something in a way. I don't know how to describe it, but it feels more kind of personal, I think, when it's kind of in a live setting versus like just stumbling upon something on like a playlist or something.
Yeah, it's like this real visceral thing. It totally makes a difference. Like,
Yeah. And actually, from playing live and from getting these kind of opportunities, what would you say, like so far, for you personally, like it's been some of the highlights in terms of the opportunities you guys have gotten?
um, funny, like in terms of gig opportunities, like getting to play Forest Fest
Yeah.
down in Emo. So that was our first proper festival experience, and that was fantastic. Very different environment to playing the sort of local venues in the city. So that felt like a huge milestone for us, and it was just so much fun. It was just classes in this big kind of like circus tent in the festival
Yeah.
grounds. So that was wild. But yeah, there's been a lot of other moments where like we're still in the early stages, but we've had moments of, seeing our songs on sort of blogs and websites that we'd be following and like hearing the songs on the radio. Like we got an interview on 98 FM and we got like played at like 12 o'clock noon on like RTE. So we are like,
Mhm.
that's quite surreal. Like I know it's small steps, but like it's cool when it happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. And yeah, is there any kind of like festivals or anything like or any kind of shows that or venues that you guys would be kind of gearing towards, like that would be kind of like I don't know, something that you'd want to play at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. So Whelan's has to be one of our favorite venues. It's the classic Dublin venue, and we've played upstairs a good few times. We did our launch for Blue upstairs, and that sold out, and that was like the most amazing night ever. But the
Yeah.
main stage, we're kind of gunning to play. The opportunity hasn't come up yet, but we're waiting on it. That'll be a great one, I think, if it does happen.
Perfect. And yeah, I want to talk about your new release. And it comes out October 13th. I don't really know much about it. I was just kind of told like there is a new release coming October 13th. I was wondering if maybe you could enlighten me.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of a unique one. So it's going to be a double release. So it's actually sort of two songs coming out simultaneously, kind of like an A side, B side kind of thing.
Sure.
And I suppose our reason for doing that was A, just to do something a little bit different. But we kind of knew we wanted to record and we wanted to put out some new music. Um, but we were not quite at the point where we know what songs we want to be in like a larger collection, like an EP or an album. So but at the time when we were sort of rehearsing and writing some new songs, these two kind of popped out as like these kind of two cohesive ones that they're both quite different, but they both work together really well at the same time.
Yeah.
So we just kind of had that idea to do an A side, B side, and they're both two different vibes. Like so the I suppose the feature single is called Playing It Shy, and it's our best take on just an upbeat kind of pop song.
Yeah.
Like it's just real dancey, real just fun. Obviously lyrics are a bit moody in our typical fashion, but I think there's something really interesting being said in it, while also just it being a bit of fun, pretty much.
Yeah. And the B side?
So the B side is called Juniper, which is once again started as something that was just kind of me and Steve, our bass player, were messing around at home, just demoing some ideas, and we're sort of like, oh, this is kind of like beachy vibes, like sort of surf rock almost, but kind of chill, summery. And I brought it to Rosie, and I was like, yeah, I'm not sure what the sort of concept for this song should be. And I was like, what do you think about like maybe it's a beach song, but it's about vampires? And she immediately the light bulb started firing, and essentially she came up with this. It's a really nice story with like all this sort of really nice imagery. And I genuinely do think it's one of our best songs. It doesn't scream pop single,
Yeah.
but it's really pretty and it's really interesting enough that I think it deserves to be out there alongside the single. So I'm super
Absolutely.
excited for people to hear that.
Yeah, I think it's actually been kind of a sort of it's been a bit of a waiting period actually between I think the last thing was released I think in the springtime if that's correct. Lucy I think was March or so, and now it's kind of like we've gone through the summer and now it's like autumn and it's like we're getting more. It's kind of like I don't know, having a double release is I think is kind of like a nice like sort of reintroduction to the band in a way almost if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we were a little quiet over the summer. Um, we were quite busy with gigs actually. There was a lot happening, and obviously the first two releases went quite well. So we actually treated ourselves to a bit of a little band getaway. We went to Liverpool for a few days. It's like a little bonding experience. And that was amazing. Obviously we've been playing together a while, but I feel like that brought us even closer together as a band. And then when we came back, we were like, right, we're ready. Let's do this. Let's get in the studio and get the songs done. Get them ready to come out.
Do you guys find it difficult as unsigned artists to kind of actually get stuff recorded? I know, like in terms of like actually just kind of what do you call it scheduling everyone. There's also the monetary reality of it too. Do you guys ever have difficulty with that in terms of actually getting records out, or has it been kind of okay for you guys?
No, that is, I suppose, the main struggle. It's probably the same for most people, but yeah, it's just the time and the finance kind of thing, because we're all sort of working full-time jobs. So, incorporating everyone's sort of timetables into getting, 2 days away to just spend the whole day in the studio and the funding from it, that also is sort of like, it's not very often where five people just sort of working independently can just sort of go into a studio for a few days to get stuff out without any kind of other sort of support.
Yeah.
So it very much is, play gigs, build up a bit of revenue, and then put it into getting the content out and getting the songs recorded. But we've so many songs now from our live set list and just from our demos that, if money and time were no object, we'd be absolutely lashing them out, I'd say.
Would you guys ever be interested in like signing with a label or anything like that?
We're not sure. It's certainly something we've looked into and tried to research a bit for down the line, but there are a lot of our peers and stuff and people we've played with and gone to college with that are building really successful careers as independent artists. And obviously there's that element of having a lot more control over your work and the decisions that are made from a business point of view. So we still have, I think we're still in our early stages in terms of running the band as a business. There's still a lot for us to learn, but we're getting there. And I think, seeing our peers and stuff being able to do it viably from an independent point of view, I, I feel like it's something we could probably manage ourselves as well down the line.
Yeah.
We've come this far, I suppose.
Yeah, and I guess like when you were kind of like talking about like the songs here, there just seemed like a real radical kind of like freedom you guys have, where it's like, you're just talking about like let's make a beat song, make it about vampires and stuff. It just seems like there's this, I don't know, kind of there's no ceiling, I guess, in terms of like what's of where your creativity can be, if that makes sense. I mean, do you guys like kind of consolidate in terms of like when it kind of comes to like doing the music? Do you kind of come together and go like, okay, we're gonna kind of write it as a collective, or do you kind of do it individually and then just kind of do it kind of piecemeal in that sense of like you add this and so on?
Up until recently, for the most part, there was a kind of very routine way of getting the songs together where I would have a fleshed out kind of instrumental, and maybe I'll have an idea for the actual concept of the song or something like that, and I bring it to Rosie, and she would write her vocal parts and write her lyrics, and chip in with the arranging and stuff like that. And Connor, our drummer, has always been a big part of the sort of arranging of songs and the finishing touches. But recently, especially on these two singles, Mikey, our guitarist, and Steve, our bass player, have gotten a lot more involved with the actual writing process. For example, basically, I'm playing a Chai. There's a In the demo I had a bridge section which I wasn't completely happy about, and we didn't know where it was going or anything like that. And Steve and Mikey basically came up with this part on the piano and the guitar that just sort of really worked the best way it possibly could have as a bridge. It was the sort of finishing touch of the song that I feel like we needed. And the same with Juniper. Steve, our bass player, was there from the sort of inception of it. So instead of having something brought to him and he used to work baseline out to it, he was kind of there for the writing process. So he was very much involved with that one. So it's good because I feel like you can run out of ideas and you can hit blocks, and it's good to, I suppose the whole thing of having a band is that you have that collaborative aspect where you can get ideas from the other guys and get their involvement, and it helps get you out of those blocks really. And some of the best parts, my favorite parts of some of the songs, have come from the guys getting involved really.
That's perfect. I guess final thing I'll just sort of ask is like, what do you guys have planned for the future then, either immediate or long term?
Yeah, so in terms of, we've a few gigs. We actually were playing Happy Days Fest in the Grand Social tomorrow, so that's going to be really cool. That's kind of like prom night themed gig. There's some really cool bands playing at that as well, so that's going to be great. And on the 7th, next month, we're going to be supporting Amy Ellen in Whelan's. So that's a really exciting one. So that's what we have booked now in terms of upcoming gigs. But yeah, once the songs are out, it's just going to be full on promotion. We're going to just, yeah, any gig we can play, any opportunity we can get, just really push it in the hopes that next summer, we're hoping to just get on a few more festival lineups. I think that's our big goal for next year, anyways. But we're gonna, I think, be consistently releasing music alongside that. So that's kind of the plan for now, anyways. Just keeping the momentum going.
Yeah. Do you find that difficult actually? Because you mentioned like you guys working full-time jobs. Actually, if you were to get like festival lineups, you'd have to kind of sorry, on festival lineups, I mean you'd have to kind of work around like, five people's jobs essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a challenging thing, especially of being in a five-piece band and having to accommodate everyone and working around the work schedule. But there's always ways of going about it. There's always a holiday day to be taken here and there. And like I know, for example, my manager is very he's a musician himself. He understands that you sometimes need to just go for these opportunities. So I'm quite lucky in that most of the time I'll have the opportunity to be able to move a few things around on the schedule and get the time off to sort of go for those opportunities. But
That's
no, it sure ain't easy anyways, but you make do.
that's perfect. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up, or?
Um no, I suppose just yeah, if any of the readers want to check out any of the gigs we're playing, and obviously keep an eye out on our Instagram. That's where we're going to be sort of mostly posting our sort of updates and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be exciting next month for us, anyways.
That's perfect. Thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks a million for having me, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening to that episode of Post-Burnout.com interviews. We hope you enjoyed and stay tuned for more.